Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amanda Anything, my weekly bite-sized videos answering your questions about resumes, cover letters, and job search strategy. Today I have 4 questions to answer that are all about things that you should be including or not including on your resume. So the 4 questions are, first, how many jobs should you list on your resume? Second, how far in time should I go back on my resume in listing jobs? Number 3, should I include my previous degree, my clinical rotations, my GPA, etc.? And number 4, if I currently have 2 jobs, which should I list first? So first, let's talk about how many jobs you should list on your resume. There's really no straight answer to this. So first thing I want you to decide after kind of listing out all your experience and your credentials is whether you strive to have a single page or a 2-page resume. I do believe that it is absolutely okay to have a 2-page resume as long as everything you are including is really valuable. So sometimes you may determine how far to go back. So questions 1 and 2 are kind of related. You may determine how far to go back in time based on how many pages your resume is and how much information you want to include. So more on how far to go back on your resume, our second question. If you have many years of experience, you can absolutely cut it off at about 10 to 15 years back. Another option is to feature the details of the more recent positions and then create one section, just a few lines that summarizes your experience prior to 10 years ago. The third question, should I include my previous degree, my clinical rotations, my GPA, or my non-healthcare related experience? So the question to all this is, it really depends. I think that you should include your previous degrees if they are relevant to healthcare, and also if you had another long career related to that degree. So if you are a second degree nurse and you have had a kind of fruitful career in another field and you think that that career brings value to your nursing career, then absolutely you should include not only the degree under your education section, but you can also include some brief information about that previous non-healthcare related job. In terms of clinical rotations, there are a couple schools of thought here. I usually like to include them, especially for nurse practitioners where clinical rotations may not be standard. Not everyone has the same types of rotations. And if you are a registered nurse or a nurse right out of school and you don't have any prior paid working experience or paid healthcare related experience, then I think it is valuable to include your clinical rotations. Now, if you have years of healthcare related experience or you worked as an LPN or a CNA or something, that may be more valuable in terms of including that on the resume than listing out your nursing clinical rotations, because for the most part, those rotations are pretty standardized. So I give you permission to use your discretion here about what you feel tells more of your story on your resume, whether you'd rather include your clinicals or you'd rather people be seeing front and center your healthcare related work experience. Now, the fourth and last question, if you have 2 jobs, which should you list first? So I think it kind of depends here. If you are looking to get a new job in a particular field, I would probably list the job that is most relevant or the most related to that future job first on your resume. If you are going in a completely different direction and those 2 current jobs of yours are not really related to your future jobs, then I would likely include the one that I work in full time and list the other one second. If you work 2 full-time jobs, then you are incredible and you can list whichever one you want to list first. The other thing would be if you were trying to move within an organization and you were applying to a future job where you already work, I would list that employer first. So decide which of your 2 jobs has more to offer in the direction that you're going and choose that one. So that wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ask Amanda Anything, and I will see you all again next week.